All right, joining us today is one of the most famous Old Haleians in Tom Mitchell, who, we won't need any introduction to the boys that are probably listening all across our state at home at the moment while they're in isolation. But Tom, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Happy to be on, guys. Cheers.
Excellent. So I've got with me Brett Will here and David Bourne as well to help me interview Tom. So I'll throw to David I'll start, Tom, by asking a few questions about your time at Hale. So you obviously went here, but can you tell us, beyond footy, a couple of the sports you played both in the community here in Perth and for Hale?
Yeah, so I was really keen on my basketball and obviously football. So my summer sport was basketball. Had a pretty good run, I think, in my year 12 year, and obviously in winter it was footy, and we won a few Alco Cups, I think year 11 and 12, so we had a pretty strong team. Outside of Hale, I played at Claremont in the Colts, and played for WA in state footy for under 16s and 18s.
Fantastic. Now, one thing that's unique to Hale, I think, almost across Australia, is the way we do house sport here, where we, as you know, we stop on Wednesdays in semester one and go out there and just let rip. What were do you have any favourite memories of, what house were you in, and do you have any favourite memories of house sport?
You've tested me on the name here. I was in the Red House. I forgot what they were called.
Bunteen? Is that the one?
Bunteen. I was in Bunteen.
Yeah.
Yep. So, that was, when you look back at your schooling life and, especially for people who are really keen on their sport, which I was, to be able to do that on Wednesday afternoons and muck around with your mates and, stay fit and healthy, they're the days that you look back and you don't realise it at the time, but it's, some of the most fun you're going to have in your life, really, and some of the friendships and things you form during those times. I still keep in touch with a number of the Hale boys, and we're all still pretty close, and I pretty much would say that it's, the connections that you make through sport and through study as well.
Yeah, that's great. Now, turning to the PSA competition, you said you won 2 Alcos. Is there one game of playing first 18 footy that sticks with you, and why?
One game. Maybe the first ever game I played was in year 10. We played Aquinas at their ground.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we won, but I just remember the battles against Aquinas were always pretty strong, and we were always pretty competitive with them. So normally when we would come up against them, they were the team that challenged us the most, and we had a pretty good rivalry.
Yep.
Tom, during that, David Bourne speaking here, mate. So, look, during that time when you were at Hale, I was actually coaching the first 18 at Christchurch, and we were very, very weak at that time, and I remember watching you from that position, and just your ability to get hold of the football has transferred all the way through your football days at different levels that you've played in. What is it? How do you get to that level and of just finding the footy like you have done? And I know that you went back here when you weren't getting games of the Swans and were getting, you got 60 possessions or so in one game. How was it that you were just able to find the football so much during games?
Yeah, well, firstly, welcome to the good side and welcome to Hale. And I'm glad you left those duds at Christchurch. So
well said.
It's pretty, yeah. I think some of it is instinct. I've grown up around footy my whole life. My dad played footy, and he coached at Fremantle. That was the reason we moved to Perth. He coached at Hawthorn and Carlton. So probably having a dad who is quite knowledgeable around the game helps me. And I think my ability to read the game is probably my strength. I'm not as fast and as strong and as fit probably as other players, but I feel as though my mind is quicker and my reaction times to be able to read the play better than others enables me to get to smarter spots before everyone else, and that probably leads to finding the ball more.
Your athletics career, I know when you're at Kerry's over in Melbourne, you had Jack Viney as well. I think both of you went through, but your athletics background was significant. I think that plays a role. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, definitely. I probably didn't get into my apps as much in Perth at Hale, just because footy probably took over as the number one priority. But at Carey, you mentioned Jack Viney. Us two were quite into our apps, and I was a middle distance runner, so I sort of focused on the 400, 800 and 1500, and I used to compete on the APS. It was called the APS in Melbourne, the APS finals day, and I'm sure that some of that fitness and gut running transferred to my footy as well.
Yeah. Now, your time at the Swans, like they had a reputation for having a really, I suppose, strong culture there for a decade or even 15 years since the Paul Roos days. Now, what did you learn during your time there? Maybe off the senior players. That was your first club, obviously. What was your time in Sydney like? Both, as much from a cultural aspect as anything.
I think I'm not sure if culture, that's probably something that the media pumped up. But when you talk about examples of senior players, that's probably more accurate. I think I actually lived with Adam Goods when I first moved to Sydney, and other senior players, Nick Smith, Reece Shaw, Jared McVeigh, they really took me under their wing and taught me a lot about the game and also how to carry yourself as a man as well. So when I reflect on my time there, I'm appreciative of the guys that took the time to show some interest in me, and they're the things I remember.
Yeah.
Tough decision to leave them. Obviously, father-son, they just had an outstanding midfield group at that time, Tom. So for you, there was a lot of offers on the table, I imagine, but what was it about Hawthorn which attracted you to that club?
Yeah, well, it was probably a pretty easy decision to leave in the end. I probably felt that, the effort I was putting in and the form I was putting together warranted more opportunity, but I just wasn't really given that opportunity. So I was very happy to get out of there and to land on my feet at Hawthorn, such a great club who had a pretty successful era. I was very lucky, and I did have a few offers from other clubs, but to me, I just wanted to go to the club where I thought I could best take my career to another level, and to be coached by someone like Clarko, who's been incredible. I know that I've definitely made the right choice.
Right, thank you.
Hi Tom, it's Brett Will here. How you going?
Really good, thanks Brett.
Good. Just a question after your Brownlow year and then a year off with injury. How did you maintain your focus through that year?
Yeah, it was a very different year. I think riding the highs and lows of not only footy but probably life, and having an injury that could have been career threatening and was pretty significant. But what I learned was that I probably had focused too much on my footy and ignored other areas of my life. So it probably enabled me, to grow a better life balance with things like study and a bit of planning for life after footy, whether it's media coaching or a diploma of business course or studying exercise science at uni. I put all my eggs into the footy basket. And when that was taken away from me, I sort of thought, if the game finished today and my career was over, I wouldn't have much to fall back on. So I think right now I live a much more balanced life. It's not all about footy performance. It's about spending time with family, spending time with friends, finding hobbies and doing things I enjoy, but also self-improvement of other things that I mentioned before.
Tom, you mentioned Clarkson there, obviously an outstanding coach from the outside, but what is it about him which he's able to get the best out of both the team and individuals? Yeah,
so the thing that stands out to me is that he has a genuine interest in all of the players. So you as an individual, he knows, he's always interested in how you're going. He wants to know how your family's going. And any way that he can help to make your life better. So obviously we know he's a tactical genius as well and comes up with that stuff, but it's the deeper connection that he builds that, it's why you want to play for him, and it's why he has the trust for his players, which I don't think other coaches, go to the extent that he does, and that's why he's the best.
I'm not sure if you bothered to go up to Canberra last year during that hailstorm and the snow, but obviously famous for running around with his shirt off. Were you there at the time? And if you weren't, what was the background to all of that?
I'm glad I wasn't there because he's got a pretty sloppy rig, so wouldn't have wanted to see that. But no, I was in Melbourne watching on TV. CJ, one of the young boys, it was his first game, so he was born in Sudan, in a country that has really hot conditions, and played his first game in snow. So that game will probably be remembered for his first game, and the way the boys approached that game. Was pretty incredible, and we just embraced the conditions and got on with it.
Yeah. Now I'll change tact a little bit and go from Tom the player to Tom the fan. I had a bit of a scroll of your social media, and I'm an NBA tragic myself, to be honest, but you were lucky enough to go over to America, watch a Warriors game a couple of years ago, and got to meet Kevin Durant and Steph Curry. Now, what was that experience like? How did that actually eventuate?
Yeah, so a guy named Aaron Ford, who's actually based in Perth. It's a trip called, it's a company called Hype.
Okay.
So it's called Hype Tours. So I'm sure there'll be a couple in the future if there's any students who are really keen on their basketball. Yeah, Aaron's going to put a few trips together in the future. So,
okay.
I just had a relationship with Aaron, and he put together this tour of going over to the States. And I mentioned I was really keen on my basketball, to go over there and sort of a bit of a learning trip to see how other athletes around the world tried to get the best out of themselves and how they approach the game. But to also connect with some of the mega stars, I suppose, over there, and pick their brains, and for them to give us some of their time. We spent about an hour or two with Kevin Durant, which was pretty awesome. Not something that everyone gets to do, so it was a pretty awesome time.
Oh, and who's your team in the NBA? Who do you go for?
I'm on the LeBron bandwagon, so
okay.
I'm with the Lakers for now.
Okay, yeah, you're not alone. That's all right. This is half of half the NBA fans just follow LeBron, so it's all good.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, quite understandable. And the last one is you might remember from your time here at Hale, on Tuesdays is like pie day for at least the boarders and the staff, where they they all get pies, and some of the stuff the boarders do with pies is pretty controversial in terms they take the lid off sometimes, put the sauce in the middle. They eat it with a spoon. Some eat it with a fork. Some just eat the lid. How does Tom Mitchell eat a pie?
How do I eat a pie? I'm probably more of a sausage roll man, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But if I did eat a pie, it would probably just be on top. I'm a basic kind of guy. But do they still do the chocolate milk set at the dining hall as well? I remember the boarders used to always hand a few of those over to the day boys, and that was always one of the best.
There's a bit of that still there, and there's a fair bit of yogurt as well. That I'm sure there's food that get passed for the to make up for some weekend leave visits. I reckon there's a little bit of a trade in that. So
good trade off.
Yeah, all good. All right, Tom, mate, we'll leave you to it. Thanks again. Like, this will be sent out to boys all over the state who are in their own kind of sport-free time at the moment, which is all over the world, and they're probably going a bit crazy. They can't get out there and play whatever sport it is. But all the best to you, and I hope you and the family stay safe for the next weeks and months. And really appreciate your time connecting back with Hale here.
No worries, guys. Happy to help. Cheers.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Bye. Bye.